One, two, audio check. One, two, updated audio check with a new mic. Here we are then, guys, we're about to go racing here for the second race of the night here for the GT3 Sprint League Automotive here at Suzuka. We're just coming up towards the line. Jazzman putting it on pole with G Sanks alongside him. 19 cars here on the grid for this second race, and we're green. Here we come down towards turn one, as Day is unfortunately not readied up, so he will start from the pits, but into turn one we go. Jazzman and G Sanks side by side. G Sanks swooping around the outside, and for the second race in a row, Jazzman has been jumped off of the line, so it's G Sanks leading ahead of Jazzman, followed by Titus in third place. Then you got Max Power ahead of Robe, who seems to have got ahead of Ludo, as looking in the background, TJ Carlo I think holding just ahead of Crazy Legs. I'm not sure who came out on top in that battle there. It looks as though TJ Carlo is actually behind Crazy Legs here, and somebody's in between them there, so there is a don't know who, but at the moment I'm trying to work out who that is in front of those two at this point. Or it is Ludo actually ahead of them, so in fact they haven't got anyone else in between them. It was Ludo who lost out to it was Ludo who dropped behind Robe, and Ludo's also dropped behind Codalungu. So Codalungu with a strong start here, up into 6th place. Coming out of Degler 2 for the first time. Oh, Titus with a huge wobble there, and he might potentially lose out here to Max Power, who's going to be down the inside of the next corner, and Titus does lose out to Max Power. So Max Power up into P3, and these two have got a bit of history between them as well. So Titus will be a little bit afraid right now, but then again Max Power might be as well. But G Sanks and Jazzman coming into the final part of this lap in towards Spoon Curve, and currently it's G Sanks who's holding the lead after taking it off of Jazzman, coming down towards turn one. Titus there in third place ahead of Max Power. Max Power in third place ahead of Titus, and Robe who's being passed here down the inside by Codalungu, who pulls off a great move there into Spoon. So Cod there up into P5, and Ludo's trying to knock Robe while he's down here, and he does manage to do so with a great exit there coming out of Spoon. So Ludo there up into P6, but they're still side by side. Robe's got the straight line speed in that McLaren to try and come back at him here, coming down towards 130R. They're still side by side. Robe there round the outside. Oh, he's onto the marbles there. He's onto the gravel as well. Where has he ended up? He's kept it riding in the right direction just about, but he loses out there to Ludo, and TJ Carlo's going to try and go around the outside of him as well, and TJ Carlo's surely going to get this move done here on Robe. He does get it done. Robe tucks into that one, and he's down to 8th place here on this first lap. It's been a nightmare of a first lap there for Robe. It couldn't have gone much worse there for him. Crazy Legs now on the back of him, looking to the outside here, coming down towards turn one. Shark Zulu just behind them with Totally Zero on the back of him, but Crazy Legs trying to go around the outside of Robe. Through turn two we go, but Robe holds on to that one just about, as in the background there's a in the foreground even, it was TJ Carlo in the Ferrari getting it very wrong there onto the curb, and he's got it completely wrong there. No, sorry, that's TJ Carlo. Yeah, it is again making a mistake there. So he's lost now a couple of places. He's lost out to Robe and Crazy Legs, and he's now down in 9th place here by the looks of it. So TJ Carlo showing up on P7 on the timing screen, but obviously we know the timing screen on ACC is dog shit basically, and he's dropped from 7th down to 9th place. But in the meantime, it's G Sanks still leading ahead of Jazzman, and Codalungu's into 3rd place. So what on earth has gone off here? What has happened here? Low 3000 into the wall. Low 3000 bins it there coming out of Degner 2, so he's lost out a load of places here. But Max Power has dropped it, and he's down to 9th place. So Max Power lost a load of places. He was in 3rd place before. Hopefully him and Titus haven't come together, because those two have got a bit of history here. But Codalungu now running at a podium place, so I wouldn't completely rule out the possibility of those two coming together again. But Codalungu running in 3rd place here, coming out of Spoon Curve. Titus will be looking to try and get the run here, coming down the back straight here. He's going to pull out to the outside surely, because Codalungu's covered the inside load off. Here comes Titus, as he's now being squeezed there. Codalungu's closing the door on him into 130R, and for the time being stays ahead. But there's a big train of cars here, all the way from Codalungu down to down to Bracky even. So it's basically 11 cars in the line here, what a battle we've got on our hands here. As Tinus there gets the run on Codalunga out of the final chicane, and he's going to get around him here surely. As Tinus there moves himself up into third place, and now Codalunga's got to watch out because he's got Ludo all the back of him as well. As they come over the line here to complete lap 2 of the race. Here comes Ludo, looking to the inside. He's got this side by side here, Codalunga and Ludo, but Ludo backs out on that one sensibly. Cod though goes a little bit deep there, slides it through turn 2. And Ludo might be able to get the move completed here. They're still side by side. He's going to try and go around the outside here of Codalunga. Cod trying to keep himself there. They're still side by side. Codalunga's not giving up on this one very easily. He gives him a bit of a tap there in the side. And Ludo there wide onto the grass. I think in the end that one he goes onto the gravel there. Codalunga's out of shape as well. Both of those two in the wars. Codalunga's now dropped behind TJ Carlo. Loses a couple of places there. But Ludo was the one who lost out massively there. And I've got to say, if I have to pin blame on that one, I'd have to give it to Codalunga, because he would seem like he was the more aggressive in that situation. Oh, as Ludo now gets spun out, and to be fair, the driver behind him had nowhere to go. Was it Sharka Zulu who pushed him around? I think it might have been Sharka Zulu who finished him off there, but he's now out of the race. Ludo's retired, or no, he hasn't, sorry, he's still there. It was somebody else who retired. I assumed it was him. It wasn't. In fact, 2 drivers are now retired, so Ludo has now retired, which is not the most surprising thing in the world, but I don't encourage rage quits, and it's very annoying when it does happen. But he was just spun out there, so you can kind of understand it. But Tinus has moved himself into third place here ahead of TJ Carlo and Robe. Codalunga's lost 3 places in 1 lap due to that collision with Ludo, which then ended up with Ludo getting T-boned by Sharka Zulu, as those guys were obviously out of sync. They had a lot more speed because Ludo had lost it. Obviously it was returning to the track after the collision there with Codalunga, and as a result he's out of the race here as Rage quit after that collision there with Sharka Zulu. Max Power's moved ahead of Crazy Legs up into P7. Low 3000's got a stop-go penalty there, so that's just compounded matters for him. Obviously coming into the pits during a sprint race where there's no pit stop, mandatory pit stop, is bad enough anyway, but then to get a stop-go penalty while you're at it, I mean, at that point you've kind of not really got much left on the table to lose, so yeah, I suppose it's not really going to affect him too much at this stage, but nonetheless it'll be a frustrating experience there for him. So watch them all coming down the start finish straight. There are the top 13 drivers there. Here's the top 2, G-Sanks and Jazzman, and currently G-Sanks is still keeping Jazzman behind him. He's done a really good job here of weathering this storm. He obviously got the jump on him off of the line at the start of the race. That Ferrari does not seem to have the acceleration off of the line. That seems to be its weak point really. We've seen now over the last 3 races here. We saw obviously in this second race, in the first race, and also on Sunday at the Hungaroring, we also saw Tinus almost get the jump on Jazzman there, but couldn't quite make it happen. He got a run down towards turn 1, got around the outside of turn 1 into turn 2, but Jazzman was able to cover him off. But it's 3 times that we've seen that Ferrari not really get off the line too well. If it's got one weakness, maybe that's it. And so Jazzman, if he puts it on pole, it doesn't stop him from being jumped into turn 1 and having to fight for these race wins that he's picking up. He's currently running in second place at the moment in this second race of the night here at Suzuka, and G-Sanks doing everything right so far. Tinus still running in third place, 5 seconds behind these guys. Can he start to reel them in with G-Sanks and Jazzman focusing on each other? Maybe that'll give him an opportunity to bring that gap down. TJ Carlo still running in 4th place, just over a second ahead of Robe at this point, as Codalunga there wide coming through Spoon, but Crazy Legs not really close enough to capitalise at this moment in time. But a chaotic second race of the night so far, and we're not even 4 laps in to this one. But G-Sanks and Jazzman, as Jazzman gives G-Sanks a bit of a tap there as they went through the chicane. He's clearly getting a bit impatient now. The pressure starting to get to Jazzman a little bit. He wants to get on with this as quickly as he possibly can. Just gave him a bit of a nudge there as we come over the line to complete lap 4, but G-Sanks still holding his ground. Obviously missed the first couple of weeks of the season due to an ankle injury. The break due to the 1.9 patch being a little bit broken did help him out a little bit because it gave him a bit more time to recover, and has meant that he doesn't miss as much of the season as he would have done. He'll oversee most of the GT3 Championship on a Sunday, and he'll only have missed 3 races for the. In fact, was he here for round 3 of the Sprint League? I think he might have actually returned just before the break. In which case, actually, it wouldn't have made any difference to him. But nonetheless, obviously, it's given a bit more time to fully recover. Yeah, I mean, he, admittedly, he did return to racing just before the break, but it's given a bit more time to just fully, you know, get back to grips with racing again after a couple of weeks out. I think it was an ankle injury. It might have been something else, but I have a feeling it was an ankle injury, which sidelined him for the first couple of races of the season. I believe it was playing football. He had the injury, but yeah, nonetheless, anyway, he's doing a fantastic job right now of keeping Jazzman at bay, and Tynus is bringing the gap down to these two. Whilst they batten it out, whilst they focus on each other, it's allowing Tynus to creep that little bit closer. TJ Carlo dropping off the back of Tynus in 4th place. Has got Robe keeping him for company, only a second between those two. Kodlungu has got less than a second here to Crazy Legs. Crazy Legs keeping him on his toes. Shark Zulu and Totally Zero, half a second between those two. Kev Sim and Raki running in 10th and 11th places with Max Power still in P12. Big gap back to Error Code, who's in 13th place. Lexi Mate not having the race at the moment in P14. Day likewise not really been the situation he would have been hoping for tonight. Lowell 3000 still going, and Mario as well. Kudos to those guys for sticking with it. But G Sanks and Jazzman here coming into the chicane on lap 5 of the race, and it's still the same situation at the moment. But Jazzman is looking to try and force the issue here if he can. G Sanks has got decent straight line speed in that Lambo, and it's making Jazzman's life a little bit more difficult to really make a move into any of these braking zones. He's just not really close enough to send one up the inside, as he's getting a little bit closer this time around, just having a little look, having a little, just a little bit of a feint to the inside. Not really a massive one. He could do more than that if he wanted to, but doesn't want to. I don't think he wants to do too many sort of switchback or put off kind of manoeuvres, because if you do that too much, eventually your opponent will just wise up to it and will know that it's all a bit of a bluff. So you kind of want to save those moves. I speak from experience, from when I've been attacking, from when I've been running behind somebody and I've been attacking on the back of them. You don't want to do that feint manoeuvre too often, because if you do it too often, your opponent will eventually think, yeah, alright then mate, whatever. So you kind of just want to, sometimes you want to just stick to your racing line and just sit in behind, make him think you're not really that bothered, and then just suddenly out of the blue just throw a little feint to the inside, get them thinking, whoa, what's he doing? And then obviously force him into a mistake. In an ideal world, that's what you want to do. You want to make them lock up or miss the corner or something, and then obviously you can sail through and take the position. But G Sanks and Jazzman still a tenth apart. They're considerably gapping Tynus here, although the gap's now been staying at around the same since Tynus got into clean air. TJ Carlo still running in 4th place. He's got a couple of seconds back to Robe Kodlungu. They've still got Crazy Legs on the back of him as these guys are coming down towards Spoon. Crazy Legs is actually a bit closer to Kodlungu this time around, but just a little bit too far back to send one into Spoon. Sharka Zulu's had a moment. Sharka Zulu's had a crash somewhere because he's retired to the pit lane. He was battling with Totally Zero. I don't know if there's been a collision between those two. Totally Zero is just about a second ahead of Kevsim at the moment, so I don't think he's had. Maybe he has had an issue here, because Kevsim seems to be getting closer to him. Yeah, he has. Totally Zero's got damage on the car, so Sharka Zulu and Totally Zero having a crash there, which has obviously cost Totally Zero a bit of damage, and it's cost Sharka Zulu a chance of getting some good points here in this race. What a shame there for both of those two. G Sanks and Jazzman in the meantime still 1 and 2. Their gap to Tynus is coming down, so the more that these two fight each other, the more it's giving Tynus an impetus here to close that gap. TJ Carlos managed to pull out over a 2-second gap to Robe. It was about just over a second before. Crazy Legs still attacking on Kodlungu into turn 1, but just can't make the move at the moment. He's not quite close enough still in that battle. There's Kev Sim, who's now running in 8th place with Totally Zero now down in 11th place, so he's clearly suffering from that damage quite severely here. Oh, G-Sanks, bit of lag maybe. What happened there? No, Jazzman's now leading the race, so it looks like Jazzman has managed to make the move there, coming through the first sector. Not quite sure where exactly he did that, but Jazzman unmistakably ahead of the Lamborghini there of G-Sanks, and is your new race leader. So finally he's forced G-Sanks into an error. He's made him crack, and Jazzman, no. What the bloody hell is going on here? What on earth was that? Well, I just experienced a crazy bit of lag, which showed Jazzman as the lead car for about half a lap there, and now suddenly G-Sanks is now the leader again. I don't know what to make of this. It's just fucked. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. But anyway, G-Sanks now leading the race once again. How are you supposed to narrate a race where it's kind of broken. I mean, the game is so great in so many ways, but come on, that's just ridiculous. For half a lap, we had Jazzman and G-Sanks essentially swap cars. I know what's happened, obviously. The Lamborghini and the Ferrari have swapped, so that the data has got one car being in one position and one car being in another, and then obviously the data is then switched over back to what the reality is. But obviously what we've been relayed on our screen is the complete opposite from what was actually happening. So yeah, Kunos, if you're watching, 505, sort it out, please. But in the meantime, G-Sanks and Jazzman still 0.3 of a second apart, and Tynus still continuing to close the gap to these guys at this point. Kodalungu and Crazy still fighting here into turn 1, and they've got a gap of 4 seconds over Kevsim, who's got Max Power reeling him in at this point. Max Power trying to bring the fight here to Kevsim in his battle for 8th place. But this battle here between G-Sanks and Jazzman continuing to rage on as they come in towards the Degners here for the 8th time in this second race. Halfway point here in this final race of the night, and the battle still raging on, and G-Sanks still not giving any quarter, still not making any mistakes here, still not leaving anything on the table here for Jazzman. But Jazzman's got a bit of a run here, bit of contact as Jazzman tries to squeeze his way through. G-Sanks goes late on the brakes and squeezes him out there and says, no Jazzman, don't even think about it, and holds on just about by the skin of his teeth there. Jazzman, I think he might have thought he had that done there. I reckon if that was Tynus, I reckon that the Jazzman would have had the lead there, just because Tynus is often very cautious and very conscientious. I've always said, for my liking, Tynus is a bit too polite when it comes to wheel-to-wheel battles, and I reckon that Jazzman would have been through if that was Tynus. But G-Sanks aggressive driving, getting his elbows out, saying, no mate, not happening, I'm afraid. And Jazzman is still having to settle for P2 so far in this race, but still a long way to go here in this one. Tynus is still continuing to close on these guys as well, so obviously his pace considerably up on these guys with these two continuing to batter it out. It's allowing him to bring that gap down more and more, and Tynus could yet be a factor in this battle for the race win here in this second race of the night. Do not count him out, or count him out at your peril. Crazy Legs and Kodalungu still just about a second apart, so Crazy Legs has gapped Cod by a little bit, obviously getting ahead of him on that previous lap, and is looking a bit more comfortable in that position now. Max Power's well within a second of Kevsim here as they're coming out of the chicane, so Max Power looking to try and up the tempo here with Kevsim if he possibly can. But G-Sanks and Jazzman 0.4 of a second separating the top two, with Tynus just 3 seconds further back there in 3rd place. Sharka Zulu into the pits here at the end of lap 8, so he's back in the pits here. Is he going to be staying there now? So the situation unchanged here between G-Sanks and Jazzman, just 0.2 of a second apart, but Jazzman still keeping him under the cosh here. As he's looking to the outside again, we saw a couple of laps ago that G-Sanks ran him out of road, and once again just coasting his car, coming off that brake pedal and just coasting his car to the edge of the track, and Jazzman nowhere to go. Once again has to back out of it there. Great fight between these two. Max Power still keeping Kevsim under pressure here as well. Raki and Totally Zero battling out over the final top 10 spot. Raki jumping as a late stand-in reserve here tonight. Fair play to him, driving in his usual steed here, the McLaren. We have also lost Shaka Zulu from this race, so unfortunately he's going to go down as a retirement here in this second race of the night. Not been the night at all here for Shaka Zulu. What a shame to see. So he's a driver with plenty of talent on his day. Tyner sit there running in third place, about 3 seconds behind, but he is actually gaining on G-Sanks and Jazzman over the course of this lap. Just under 10 minutes left on the clock here, so we're gonna have 5 more laps left here in this second race of the night. We're 10 laps in, we've got 5 to go, just over 2/3 of the way through this race 8 of this 16 race season here for season 5 for the GT3 Sprint League here at Motive Racing on the PlayStation 5 here on Assetto Corsa Competizione, and it's still G-Sanks keeping Jazzman at bay. How much longer is he going to be able to keep him behind him? Is he going to be able to hold him behind him for another 5 laps? He's gone 10 laps with him all over him. You know, theoretically, another 5 laps shouldn't be too hard, but is that pressure going to spill over, knowing that he's tantalisingly close to seeing out what would be an extremely impressive win if he can hold on to this? Jazzman is a consistent performer at this level. He's a known quantity. You know what you're going to get with Jazzman. You're going to get a driver who's always going to be fighting for the wins. Early part of the season was the only block on his copybook. Oh, what's happened? Oh no! G-Sanks there. Did he lift off the throttle? What happened between those two? Did Jazzman tap him in the back? I don't know what went on there. Was it a bit of lag or something? Oh no! You couldn't make it up. No, what? What's happened? What's going on? What has happened there? Tell me that was lag. It wasn't lag. Oh no. Well, that one is going to be a contentious issue there, because it looked like, I mean, that section is flat out. Before you turn right, you brake just after that right-hander. Yeah, I know for a fact the braking point is after that right-hand bend, and that collision was just before they got to the right-hander. You're flat out through that right-hand bend. So there was no reason for there to be contact there. I don't know what's happened. Did G-Sanks lift off, or I don't know what on earth went on there. But G-Sanks has got damage on the front end of the car. Jazzman now leads the race as we come to the end of lap 11, and that has left a bit of a bad taste in the mouth, because that was a cracking battle between those two, which has tragically been cut short here. And G-Sanks into the pit, so clearly thinking that he'd be better off pitting with 4 laps left to go to get the damage repaired than he would be to carry on and see where he can finish. TJ Carlo promoted to the podium places. Roby there will move up into 4th, and Crazy Legs into 5th. In fact, Codlungi's got ahead of Crazy Legs here. So what has happened there? Codlungi now up into P5, Kevsim there running in P7. Max Power now into 8th, Raki there still battling with Totally Zero, both of those two now in the top 10. And G-Sanks there getting his damage fixed there. I don't know what to say after that, that's absolutely gutting. That is really disappointing there. Obviously for us, for myself as viewers, and for those of you watching either live or watching this back afterwards, yeah, that's really unfortunate. Oh, Totally Zero goes wide, very wide there, coming out of the hairpin. What has happened there? Did he put the power down instead of the brake? I don't know. But just went straight on coming out of the hairpin. That's given Raki a bit of respite there in P9. Now he can pull away. I don't think he's got the pace to chase Max Power back down, but nonetheless, unfortunate moment there for Totally Zero. Robe still just ahead of Cod Lungu as they're coming into the chicane. You've got Robe, Cod and Crazy Legs there going through your shot. There is the man who led until lap 11 of this race, and obviously coming through this section here now, I'm going to narrate to you what happened. It was there, more or less there, where there was a collision. Jazzman went into the back of G-Sanks in a part of the track where you're flat out. You're not going to be braking, you're not going to be lifting through that part of the track. There is no conceivable reason why there should have been contact. I couldn't put my finger on what happened, but the end result was that G-Sanks ended up in the wall. Jazzman was able to continue on his way, and Jazzman now has a comfortable lead of over 5 seconds here out the front over Tynus in the house. But yeah, head scratcher moment, and one that I myself will be looking into at the end of this race for sure. Obviously, if it's a bug on the game that's caused the collision between G-Sanks and Jazzman, then that's really quite catastrophic, because it's no fault of G-Sanks' whatsoever. I just can't work out what could have caused it. I'm just replaying the moment in my head and just thinking, how did that happen? It's really bizarre. But the result of it is that Jazzman is going to bring it home for another win here tonight, and it'll be a double here at Suzuka. And take nothing away from him, because he's driven absolutely fantastically here tonight. But I felt like G-Sanks deserves something from that race. I mean, he deserves, for me, he should have been the winner of this race, G-Sanks. That was his race to lose. And even if he had been passed by Jazzman, it would have been a guaranteed P2. Or at least a podium. But Cod here still running in 5th ahead of Crazy Legs. These two battling it out here in the closing laps. This really the only battle that we can watch now, seeing as we've been robbed of that great fight between G-Sanks and Jazzman. Crazy Legs getting closer to Cod at points, and then Cod just seeming to eke away from him at others. But overall, Crazy Legs keeping him under a lot of pressure here as they come through into the Degness here on lap 14 of the race. Cod there really deep coming on the exit of the hairpin. That might give Crazy Legs a bit of a run. He's looking to the outside. I tell you what, if Crazy Legs can get around the outside, he'll have the inside for Spoon, which will give him a bit of an advantage here. Cod trying to squeeze into the edge of the track there as well. Bit naughty there, but they all get through unscathed. Cod goes a little bit wide there, but to be fair, Crazy Legs didn't get the greatest of runs through Spoon. As they come on the exit now, and it's still as you were, but Crazy Legs right in the slipstream here on the back of the BMW. Crucial thing for Cod is that his BMW is quicker in a straight line than the Porsche, and that's just helping him out. If he doesn't get a good exit, he can still rely on that Beamer to take him away from the Porsche as they come down towards the chicane. As Cod there going a bit wide, so did Crazy Legs. Crazy Legs still trying to come back at him into the chicane, but nothing doing. Cod Lungu still got that one covered off, and down the straight, that BMW is going to say bye bye to the Porsche. As the Crazy Legs there around the outside with a better run out onto the start finish straight, but You can see the Beamer with the speed in a straight line, it's just taking him away. And Cod there holding on into turn 1 and through turn 2 they go. It's still Codalungu sat in that final top tyre 5 spot, very wide there coming out of turn 2. He's pushing his luck, I tell you. Is he going to be able to hold on for the entirety of this final lap? Max Power has managed to get ahead of Kessim, so Max Power up into 7th place. Must have made that move into turn 1, I would have thought. So Max Power doing a good job there of getting himself up into 7th place. Jazzman has got 1 sector to go. He's just going into Spoon at the moment. What is going to happen here between Cod and Crazy Legs? Crazy Legs seems to have made a mistake because Cod's now got nearly a 2-second gap to him, so something's gone wrong there for Crazy Legs. Maybe a final roll of the dice, potentially last chance saloon, wanted to really go for it and it hasn't worked out, so that should now make Cod safe in that P5. Jazzman here coming into 130R for the final time. He obviously took the win in the first race of the night in very dominant fashion, with Tynus and G-Sanks battling it out for second, kind of slowing them down and giving him the chance to get in the clear. This second race he's had to really fight for it. Was running in P2 until about 4 laps to go. G-Sanks had a bizarre incident with Jazzman, which Jazzman came out of unscathed and G-Sanks ended up in the wall with damage, but nonetheless Jazzman has had to be there in the right place at the right time. He takes the checkered flag, and once again it's a win for Jazzman, and it's a double here at Suzuka tonight in the GT3 Sprint League for round 4 here for season 5 on the PS5. Tynus comes over to take 2nd place. Some good points there for him in the end. TJ Carlo with a podium place in the end. He'll be chuffed to bits with that, I'm sure. A flash to the lights, my man, in the number 27 Ferrari. Well clear as well of Robe, who's going to come around to take 4th place in the end. We've got a lap cards coming up on the line. That's Lowell 3000 just in front of Robe there. Lowell 3000 finishes the race a lap down in 15th. Robe over in 4th, ahead of Cod, who comes over in P5 with Crazy Legs in 6th. Max Power coming over to take P7 in the end, who he managed to get ahead of Max Power on that final lap there. So Max Power 7th, Kessim 8th. Raki comes over to take 9th place, so creditable drive from him there as a late stand-in reserve. Totally Zero completes the top 10 there in the end. Error code coming out of the final corner is going to be an 11th place here for him, as a very late jump in as well. Didn't really get to talk about him too much, to be fair. He had a quiet race, kept a low profile, but thanks to Erico for jumping in here at the 11th hour and taking our starting driver line up to 19 drivers, which is pretty decent for a Wednesday. Hopefully, the aim is to get consistently above 20 every week, but you know, we're making progress, we're getting there. Obviously Sunday nights we've got full grids for the most part, but Wednesdays we're getting there, we're pushing, we're trying. But G-Sanks here coming out of the final corner. It's going to be a P12 for him. Days finished the race a lap down in 13th place as G-Sanks P12. What a disappointing night after such a promising, nearly all of that race was quite promising. You can't really, it's difficult to put into words how disappointing that must be for him. Led most of the race, but a very, very strange incident with Jazzman cost him. But that is that then, guys, for the second race of the night. Jazzman taking the win. It's going to be a bit of a hollow win for him, but nonetheless, second place for Tynus and TJ Carlo completing the podium. Thanks, guys, to those of you who watch this back afterwards, to the drivers. Hopefully, if you did enjoy, please do smash the like button and share it with your friends, family members, and otherwise associates. Join us on Sunday night. We'll be back live on Sunday at 8:30 PM UK time at Barcelona for round 4 of the GT3 Championship. Also, if any of the drivers watching this back, we are hoping to maybe get 39 drivers out on track. We're hearing that apparently you can get 39 drivers on console in a server, although it says it's capped at 30 on the server list. Apparently if you try to get more than 30, it does work. You can get 39 drivers in a session. So obviously with me as the spectator, that takes up a spot. It's meant to be 40, but yeah, we're going to try that on Sunday night. So we're going to try and get as many of us in as possible. Obviously I don't think we're going to get 39 in, but we can definitely get over 30 in. So yeah, let's see what we can get on the grid on Sunday night. But thanks everybody once again. Smash the like button as I said before, and yeah, join us at www.motiveracing.com if you want to get involved in the action here on the PlayStation 5 on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Thanks again, we'll see you later. Good night.